I'm kind of having that like surreal moment where maybe I'm high. I don't know. I swear I reviewed Brian's team at least twice already. Um, I guess there's a strong possibility I just wrote it, deleted it, and then wrote it again, and all the shit observations I made the first time are still fresh in my mind. That might be more likely what's going on. Uh, but I'm going to look at Brian's team real quick. I did message Brian several times to see if he wanted to get on here, not only introduce himself, but rebut his shitty team. And he's running scared, kind of like Paul Walker in that movie Running Scared. It's a classic, great American cinema. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but you should. Very entertaining. Um, let's take a look at the squad real quick. Brian's inaugural season in the league, taking over for Robert Black Rob Shar, formerly that guy who had the Dolphins logo for his team, currently now pretty fly for a rabbi. Fantasy Pros, checking in at number 8 overall, just one tiny little notch ahead of yours truly, but I doubt that very strongly. ESPN kicked the shit out of him. They bumped him down from 5th to 8th overall. Shisty bastards. Um, let's see what the squad looks like. Quarterback Joey Burrow, who attended first grade at Hawthorne Elementary in Fargo, North Dakota. Not only that, he scared the fantasy world this spring when he strained his poor little calf muscle. Reports are, for better or for worse, he's going to go week 1, and I say that because Miles Garrett and Zadarius Smith are going to tear that ass up. Good luck, Joey Burrow. Um, but really, Joe Burrow, that's a solid B grade quarterback. He's right on the fringe of the top 5. He's going to throw a lot. He's not going to run a lot, but you'd think those passing numbers should buoy him up some. So, Joe Burrow, B grade quarterback. To the running back group, uh, Najee Harris, Jameer Gibbs, Scam Akers, Raheem Colonel Mustard. Down the way, we got Clyde Edwards Hilaire, a leftover from Rob's championship team. Damian Harris and Zamir White. So, what do we got to say about this? This could be either a surprising group or a really shitty group. Much has been made about the demise of Najee Harris to the hands of Jalen Warren. Beat writers continue to say that that's not the case. Everybody else who watches football says that probably will be the case. For the time being, though, Najee Harris is the quote unquote starter. Jameer Gibbs is pure unadulterated hype. He's at this point, he's maybe even got more preseason hype than Bijan Robinson, who went ahead of him. We'll see what happens tonight, which is kickoff, when the Lions face off against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Jameer Gibbs should be a big time pass catcher, though. Might get some work, running off tackle, all that good stuff, because he's a little guy. But yeah, a lot of people are very excited about what he's going to do. Cam Akers, I'm so sick about hearing the promise of Cam Akers that I could puke as a Rams fan. And yet, that is the song that is being played this preseason. Cam Akers should get the lion's share of the work. But Cam Akers, what the hell have you done for me, man? I don't know. Colonel Mustard right now figures to be the main guy in Miami. They've got two guys kind of contending for some plays behind him. The rookie Devon Achane, who is just now returning from a shoulder injury and is a little guy. And there's also Salvin Ahmed. I think I got that right. He's been there for a couple years, hasn't really done a whole lot, and he's also just returning from a back injury. So right now, for at least the first few snaps on Sunday, Raheem Mostert is healthy and will lead the way. We'll see how long that lasts. Hilaire sucks. Zamir White, probably nothing to hang on to now that Josh Jacobs is back. Damian Harris could flash. He didn't really get much work with the team in the offseason coming back from an injury, but he figures to, especially in the red zone, get work where he's, 10 times the size of James Cook, and they allegedly want Josh Allen to run less. Wow, I feel like I talked a lot about these running backs who give me a C grade overall. Okay, moving on. Ugh. Wide receiver. This is kind of another group for me. We've got Jalen Waddle, Michael Thomas, DJ Moore. Down the way, we've got Alan Lazard, Brandon Ayuk, Sky Moore, and Jalen Hyatt. Um, it's really a motley crew if there ever was one. I think there's plenty of warranted excitement for Jalen Waddle. The guy has proven that regardless of what the offense is doing or who's throwing him the ball, that he could be productive. He's still, second fiddle to Tyreek Hill, so there's that. But the numbers kind of bear themselves out. So Jalen Waddle's good. I can't really say anything negative there. As we go down the line, though, Michael Thomas, he's only played 10 games in the last 3 years, so yikes. Uh, Optimism for DJ Moore because Justin Fields is equally shitty, if not slightly less shitty than all the shitty quarterbacks that DJ Moore has played with over the last 4 or 5 years, which is really in no way ringing praise of Justin Fields. Just more so, maybe DJ Moore doesn't care about who his quarterback is. Alan Lazard should be number 2 guy in New York, at least for a little while, until Aaron Rodgers realizes it's Alan Lazard and not somebody of note. Brandon Ayuk, he's got a lot of talent. Advanced metrics show that he should be a much better wide receiver, but he's a guy who's just going to get buried on the depth chart because the San Francisco quarterbacks can't get the ball downfield. Sky Moore, man, Sky Moore has a lot of potential because who the hell's Patrick going to throw the ball to? Especially week 1 when Travis Kelce is hurt, maybe even moving on from week 1. But Sky Moore, again, hasn't shown us anything. Jalen Hyatt, super fast, runs really good routes, but he's like one of 6 slot receivers on the Giants depth chart. So who knows how long it's going to take for him to earn some playing time. Yeah, it's a C- group overall. It's a little bit rough. Tight end. Dallas Goedert, he's maybe the last reasonable tight end that you could draft. So C+ for Dallas Goedert. That's all I have to say about that. The defense. Things look a little better on defense. On the D line, we've got the other Josh Allen. We've got Hassan Reddick, Zadarius Smith, and George Karlaftis. This is a group that I actually really, really like. Josh Allen has just wreaked havoc. He hasn't put the sack numbers up, but he consistently gets pressure. He's always in the backfield. Just can't quite nab those elusive sack numbers. So that could change. They've got a very young, talented group alongside of him. I believe this is a contract year. Jacksonville said they're not picking up his 5th-year option, so he might just have a little chip on his shoulder, something to prove. Hassan Reddick, he's going to feast on this Philadelphia front line. I think he had 17 sacks last year. No reason to believe that that'll change because, again, they've just added more and more talent. There's a really good rotation around him, so he could be plenty fresh when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Zadarius Smith, we talked about the Cleveland improvements. Zadarius Smith has never had a guy as good as Myles Garrett alongside of him. He's also had double-digit sacks in every year he's played, except for his last year in Green Bay, where I believe he had a neck injury. So people sleep on Zadarius Smith. That's not smart. That dude will get you. George Karlaftis, super talented guy, actually a really highly regarded athlete for being a white guy. And right now, he's like really the sole starter on that Kansas City D line. So he's going to get a lot of snaps. If Chris Jones comes back, that could be huge for him. But we'll see what the year 2 DN can do. Look, I'm really up on this group. I think it's a B group. I think there's a lot to be excited about. Yeah, I'm feeling it. Linebacker, we've got Dre Greenlaw, Josie Jewell, Kaiser White, and Brian Asamoah. Um, Again, a pretty good group. Dre Greenlaw, I feel, is the better linebacker of the two in San Francisco. I'd have him over Fred Warner anyway. He's the guy that's going to make the splash plays. Fred Warner is going to be your kind of more consistent tackling machine. So I think there's a little bit more upside with Greenlaw. Josie Jewell, if Josie Jewell played in the NFL 15 years ago, I swear to God, he'd be used in the same sentence as like Brian Urlacher. The dude is graded out as the most efficient tackler in the NFL. I think every year he finishes at like 18 or 19%. Usually 13% is like super high. So Josie Jewell is just a freak when it comes to racking up tackles. Yeah, that if he could just stay healthy, we'd probably see him with like 100 solo tackles and probably like another 40 or 50 combined. The dude's a machine. Down here, we got Kaiser White, really the sole defender of note in Arizona. They shipped off Isaiah Simmons. They moved uh, the other guy to D end. I can't think of his name now, but yeah, Kaiser White might be the only linebacker there. This dude will get tons of work, and he's pretty good to boot. So there you go. And then Asamoah, we talked about a minute back about how the Brian Flores defense tends to feature one linebacker, but it also tends to feature one athletic linebacker, which is not the guy they currently have. Asamoah would be the guy, so be on the lookout for him to make an impact sooner than later. Um, Altogether, I like it. It's maybe not thrilling. There's tackles galore though. It's a C plus. If Asmawa becomes a more regular starter, I'd bump that up even higher. But yeah, it's a really good group right now. And then the defensive backs. We've got Jordan Poyer. Maybe it's Poyer. I like Poyer better. Rayshon Jenkins and Cam Curl. This is another group. Maybe not the most exciting group in the world, but Poyer, when he plays, and he did miss like half of his games last year, but he's a big splash player. He played 10 games last year. I think in six of those he had double digit point games, including a mixed bag of sacks and forced fumbles. Rayshon Jenkins only put up the highest defensive back scoring game last year. 48 and a half points he had in one game with 18 tackles, two picks, and a touchdown. That dude's a freak. Uh, if he turns that into consistent work, whew, look out. And then Cam Curl, another guy who just is all over the field in the defensive backfield for the Commanders. Essentially, their linebacker two, linebacker three, however you want to look at it. So yeah, a really good squad there. I'd give it a B. Altogether, it averages out to a C. There's really only one glaring weakness. I feel like that's the wide receiver group. So yeah, just keep your eye on the waiver wire and grind that shit out. But welcome to the league. Good luck to you. I've got more videos to make.